So let's pick up our discussion of the early Ethernet standards by focusing on the fiber optic standards. And these came out in the late 80s and early 90s. And there's really two standards that I'd like to kind of talk about. The first one was IEEE 802.3d. That standardized the first fiber optic standard for Ethernet called fiber optic inter-repeater link, or FOIRL, or FOIRL. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I don't know that anybody ever pronounced it that way. And I did acquire one, something that's compliant with that standard. So on one end, it's an AUI connector, and you could see this going into the back of some sort of hub or into a multi-port transceiver. And then on the other side are these two bayonet style connectors. These are called ST connectors, and I'll go over how that works in a second. But what would happen is that you would connect this to a hub, and there would be another one just like it on the other end, and then you would plug the fiber in on both ends, and it would get its power from the hub, and it would shoot out I don't think it's lasers, but I'm not sure. It might be lasers coming out of these. I think it's probably a highly focused LED. Either way, if you ever play with this, be really careful, because it's definitely not healthy to look at these lights with your eyes. So I'm also always trying to make sure that I never look directly at the beams coming out of these things. Then the next standard is 802.3J, and that is a suite of standards called 10 base F, and there's several standards that came off of that. Those were specifically 10 base FL, 10 base FB, and 10 base FP. I've never seen that or that. And in fact, if you believe Wikipedia, this one was a complete market failure and nobody ever made any equipment for it. So I had that on my checklist of things to try to find, but it may be impossible, because it may very well be that nobody ever made anything. Maybe there's a prototype out there in a museum or something, but I don't know. Also, I have never seen 10 base FB. I was working in networking when these standards were released, and I never saw any equipment. And at the time, there were big networking conferences. There was a gigantic conference called Interop, where you could see almost every possible type of equipment. And I do not recall ever seeing anything called 10 base FB. But there are indications that it existed, but I've never seen it, and I've not been able to find it. But 10 base FL I did find, and I do have. So this is a 10 base FL transceiver, or actually, I guess technically a repeater. So it's got 10 base FL on one end, and it's got an RJ45 for 10 base T on the other end. This requires an external power source. In this particular case, it's 12 volts DC. And I have another one, different manufacturer, same thing. It's got some dip switches. I have no idea what they do, because this works fine the way it is. There's another switch on the end, so you can basically switch the cable from being a node cable to a crossover sort of hub end cable. It also requires a external power supply. So in theory, and I haven't tried this yet, in theory, FOIRL is compatible with 10 base FL, but I'm going to try that out. I haven't tried it yet, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so next video is I'll actually try to incorporate these into my Ethernet of Everything network, and we'll see if that works out. Thanks.